Okay, today we're going to take 1 gallon of antifreeze out of our Suzuki Grand Vitara. It's a 2008 model. And I wanted to talk about a few things first before I do this, because there's not a lot of information on Suzuki, and I had a lot of trouble finding any information. I went to all the Suzuki forums, talked to several dealers, and what I found out is this. First of all, I have here some Toyota antifreeze, and it's red. You never want to mix any antifreeze colors like red or yellow with any other color. They might slightly gel up, or the properties may change. So you want to stick with what's manufactured for the vehicle. In this case, like I have a Toyota, so I use only Toyota antifreeze and coolant. In this case, it's their red. They also have a pink. Now on Suzuki, they use 2 different types of coolants. For 2009 on Ford, they use blue antifreeze, and it's called Super Long Life, and it's made by Suzuki, and it's very hard to find. On 2008 and previous models, you have to use just plain old green antifreeze, which is ethylene glycol 50-50 mix, is what all the dealers recommend. I tried to buy Suzuki branded because I like to stick with the exact original OEM parts, but they don't carry it. They said you just have to go down to some place like O'Reilly and buy the 50-50 green antifreeze for 2008 earlier. So that's the type of antifreeze our vehicle has. When you're working on your car, you always want to wear safety glasses. For this job, it's pretty easy. We're going to use a 10mm wrench, box type wrench here, and a couple of flat blade screwdrivers. We're going to remove the bottom panel underneath the car in the front area under the front valence. And to do that, you just simply put a couple of screwdrivers in each of these little plastic pieces that pop out. And when you pop them loose carefully and not break them, they'll come right out. But they're very fragile because they're plastic, so you have to be just real careful. I usually like to wear gloves while I'm working. And then I've gotten myself a 1 gallon waste container prepared that I just wrote used antifreeze. I take it down to my local recycling center when I'm done doing the maintenance, so that I can get rid of the used materials in a safe manner. So this is our 2008 Suzuki Grand Vitara, and the coolant reservoir is right here. You'll see I've put some gloves on because coolant's pretty benign, but I just don't want to get anything on me. So this is the reservoir that we're going to end up adding coolant to, and we're going to remove coolant from underneath. There's a petcock down there, or a tap, where you can open it up and drain some coolant out. Here's the cap, the pressure cap. So I will also take this loose once I've taken a gallon of coolant out. Or as I take a gallon of coolant out, I'll take this loose to allow air into the system so that the coolant will come out nice and smoothly and not make a mess. Okay, I'm going to remove this plate right here. And the little plastic snaps that I was talking about earlier are here. There's 3 of them on the front and 4 on the sides, and then you have to remove 2 10mm bolts, and I'm going to remove the 2 10mm bolts at the very last. So there's one over here, one over here. And also when you take this off, it comes forward and down, and when you put it back in, there's little plastic pieces here, here, and under here that have to fit into this construction member that goes across. Okay, right now I'm going to show you how to remove these little plastic pieces. You just gently put the screwdrivers into the notches on the sides. I couldn't find any specialized tool for this. And you pull them like that, and then they come right out. So that you're going to have to remove all of them, and we're going to do that right now. Okay, so now I'm going to take this bottom cover off. The last 2 things I have to do is take these 2 10mm bolts out. So the cover just comes out just like that. And the drain tap is right here. And there's a little piece leading off here. You can put a hose on if you need to. If I need to, I'll do that. I'm going to try putting the milk carton right up here so I can drain some fluid out and take a gallon out. And what I like to do is take a gallon out about every 2 years and put a gallon back in. And if you do that every 2 years or so, that, in my opinion, is probably good enough. Maybe depending on how many miles. We only put maybe 10 or 12,000 miles a year on the vehicles. So for us, that seems to work out real well. I've had some vehicles that have gone 400,000 miles by doing preventative maintenance. So I think it works out well based upon experience. Okay, so I set my milk carton in place, and it happens to be the exact height underneath this valve here. So I'm going to slowly turn it and see if I can get some of this antifreeze to start coming out through that hole like it's supposed to. And there it goes, starting to come out. And I'm just going to turn it something like that because I'm in no hurry. I want to make sure I don't make a mess. So once I take the cap off the top, it should come out much faster. So that's what I'm going to do. And I can see it's clearly a green color. So I'm going to make sure I put the exact same color back in. Okay, I've taken a gallon out of the Suzuki and put it into a properly marked container that says used antifreeze, poison. I'll take this down to the recycling center. I'm ready to add my gallon in now. In order to get a gallon out, I had to use some compressed air. You can use something like this ultra duster, or you could use a compressor if you have one in the shop, to slightly add just a little bit of air pressure into the top radiator cap or the top coolant cap, and that'll help force some of the liquid out so you get a gallon out. Because my goal was to get 1 gallon out, put 1 gallon in. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, now I'm ready to add a gallon of antifreeze. They come with a sealed container, so I'm going to take a razor blade to cut this piece off the container. Trying to make sure I don't push it in to the container. Just something like that. Let's set that aside. And I have a funnel I use for antifreeze. It's clean. You don't really want to use a funnel that's been used for anything else. And I'm going to slowly pour antifreeze into this area here. I've put almost the entire container into here, and it's starting to fill up. So now I'm going very, very slowly because I don't want to overfill it and create a mess. And you can squeeze the rubber tube here, the hose, in order to try to get some of that air that's trapped inside the system out. And once we get to this point, I'm going to start the engine, turn the heater on full, let the coolant start circulating, and then I should be able to add some coolant. And if there's any left over at the very end, I'll put it in the reservoir, and it'll pull it into the system once we've driven around and gotten all the air out of the system. Sometimes air tends to cavitate into the system.